Hey guys, welcome back to another continuing education check-in. I'm so excited for this episode. We're talking about the dating age range and if that's important, what to do about it. Sania and I both have some tea to talk about, and then we're doing a new segment at the end. It's called There are 10 But. So we're gonna give different scenarios and then we're gonna rate what score the person lands on after we hear the but. Exactly. Not that but. I think one thing I want to just point out before we get started is we've been recording these long before we release them. And so the podcast has, for us sitting here right now, has come out pretty recently. Mm-hmm. And the feedback that we've been getting has been so positive. People have been so encouraging. And we're really thankful for that.
And we love reading your comments.
Mm-hmm. Sania and I are making zero money off this right now, and it's really tough to put in the time to do the editing, do the recording, making the ideas. And so when we hear that you guys are having good conversations and it's fun for you and you really enjoy it, that's what really motivates us and keeps us going. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it. Okay, I'm just gonna start off because I really need Sania's advice,
right?
And I didn't want to say it last week because I was still processing it, and then I wanted to make sure that when I said it, it would be good for this week. Mm-hmm. But last week, Houston called me, mm-hmm. and she doesn't usually call me out of the blue.
Okay.
And basically on the phone call, she said she has a question for me, and then she said, when we go a day at a time without talking, mm-hmm. Or me texting, mm-hmm. she starts to kind of question where I'm at.
Right.
And so she's basically saying that she wanted to start talking every day.
Right.
And this didn't have to just be a phone call or a FaceTime. It could just be a text.
Right.
Good morning, good night. But for me, it really stressed me out, and it was hard for me to think of what to do.
Okay.
Because I'm not that type of person. So mm-hmm. I was telling her, even with my closest friends, I get to talk to them maybe once a week, maybe a little more, but mm-hmm. not super consistently. And right. That's just something that I've gotten used to. Mm-hmm. I try to call my mom every day, mm-hmm. and that doesn't even happen.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think for her to say that, it felt like a big burden being placed on me. Mm-hmm. And I think the kicker is that for me, we're just still talking, right? We're not...
I mean, you're going to go visit her. And we talked about this last week. Remember that I'm very similar to Houston. I relate completely because when you don't communicate or you don't have any form of contact, it's just is there someone else? Because you said, you are just talking. So is there someone else? And it's just a tiny little text for reassurance.
Okay. Do you think all girls are like this?
I can't speak for all girls. But yeah, I think actually even my friends, because girls are such overthinkers, mm-hmm. that it's why didn't he text me today? Did he not think about me? Did he not and it's not even did he not think about me? It's more so did he find somebody else? Mm-hmm. Especially because you and Houston are distanced.
Can I propose something? So if I really wanted to talk to another girl, I would talk to another girl and then send a text
good
message.
Morning.
yeah, good morning or something. What I'm proposing is that we change the social norm.
Okay.
Because a text to me is just a formality.
Yeah.
And I feel like text conversations just become so dry, mm-hmm. and I hate them.
They do.
I'd rather just have a phone call, have a FaceTime, right. But even I don't think you fully know how busy I am. And my schedule is packed mm-hmm. throughout the week. when I'm by myself, I want to spend time by myself.
True. Okay.
And I know I'm being a little selfish, but I'm not sure if this is like a mental block on my side or if like she's pushing for something
Like,
when it's too early.
Even if it's not too early, like, I think you are allowed to, like, if it's too much for you, you are allowed to say, like, oh, like, do you mind if, you know, like, if she's setting an expectation of something that she wants, you're also allowed to say, like, oh, like, I don't think I can do exactly that. Like, can we meet in the middle somewhere? Like, I feel like that would be, like, the healthiest way to approach it.
Yeah.
Instead of just, like, doing something that you don't want to do, because then you're going to, resent sending every text, and you're going to, like, start to, like, not like her because of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's unfair. So I think you should just communicate to her that, like, oh, you're just not such a big texter, like, and you're just so busy, and it's not that you don't want to talk to her, but you'd rather, like, wait all week for those FaceTime calls and, like, you know, get it all out of your system.
That's already started to happen. Like, I hope that you never watch this, and if you do, please don't kill me, but I'm already kind of resenting it. And I just feel like she's intruded on my freedom.
Like, okay, being in a relationship does restrict you a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know you said you guys are still just talking, but, I mean, you're flying out to see her. How many times have you done that for a girl?
This is the first time.
Exactly. So, like, obviously you guys are, like, moving in a certain direction at a certain pace. But I think that still doesn't mean that she should be intruding in your like, I had an issue like that with one of my exes. Like, that he just wanted to talk every day, and like I had school, I had finals, like, and I was like, I just can't do it. And I had like stuff going on with my family, and I just like you said, when I'm alone, I want to kind of be by myself and not feel obligated. Like, those calls started to feel like chores, and it feels really bad. And I think my fault in that situation, like, looking back, because that was many years ago, the thing that I learned coming out of it is I could have just told him that I actually don't have it in, like, because it turned out into such, like, by the time, because I kept resenting him, and by the time it came out, it was like a little bit of an explosion, and it turned into like, oh, we're taking a break, and then we're breaking up. So like I'd still like to say I got dumped, but legend has it that I initiated my own breakup. So I think don't hold it in. If you're starting to feel that way, I think you can put it in like a nice way. You don't have to say, oh, I'm resenting you, Houston, but you know, you can just be like, hey, like, you know, I really don't think this is something I have like the capacity to do right now. Yeah. And it's a good thing to get out of the way early on also, because if that is somebody that really does need that all the time, and like, you're only going to get busier, like life's only going to get more busy, and like, you know, so it's better to get this stuff out of the way sooner. You know? Yeah.
That's good advice. I think I need to do that. Do you think I should do it before I go to Houston, or like when I'm there?
Well, okay, so you're flying out pretty soon. Yeah. I don't think you should compromise your peace of mind. I think you're going to be more excited when you get there if this burden has been lifted.
Yeah,
like, imagine if for 2 weeks you have to keep doing, like, putting on this, like playing this game, kind of.
Yeah.
And then you get there, you're probably going to be tired, and you're going to be like, man, like, this girl better be worth it. Which, that's kind of like a not, because you're kind of starting her negative, you know? You're like, oh, she better be worth it. But you should start her neutral. So I think you can just tell her, and maybe you don't need to have the whole conversation about, like, oh, I need my, you know, this is my boundary, like, I need you to respect it. Maybe you just say, like, oh, sorry, work deadline. Like, come up with little excuses. Something. Like, maybe that's a bad way to deal with this. But just something in a nice way. I believe in white lies. Like, I believe white lies don't hurt anyone. And I do think it's a conversation you can have in person.
I think a white lie doesn't hurt anyone when it's done, like, once in a while, but also when you're not, like, in a serious relationship.
True. Okay, then what do you propose? Do you want to actually talk to her? I just feel like it'll be hard for her to understand it.
I think right now it's been tough for me, and I think I've been trying to adjust. I want to give this a fair shot. I don't want to just give up and say I didn't try, but I do think, because right now I'm not really looking forward to my trip. Like, it's affected me that much. Okay. I think at some point I should talk to her about it, and then if that doesn't work for her,
okay,
that's it.
Cold-hearted Ethan.
No, I'm not cold-hearted.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm sparing both of us the pain.
Yeah, true.
And I'm ready to be single again. Well, I am single, but I'm ready to do my own thing right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do understand, yeah, that you guys, because, yeah, like I said, it could totally come up later on.
Yeah.
And then that's obviously going to not be in a good way. So it is, are you planning to bring it up on FaceTime this week?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't even know when I'm going to FaceTime because, to be honest, since she said that,
Aww.
I've just been not motivated to, like, plan anything.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I do want to just ask before we move on is, do you think there is a good time, like, in the course of a relationship to start talking every day? I know it's normal. Just to me, it feels early because I'm still trying to get to know her. I think for her, she feels more secure and stable in the relationship. But in my mind, we're not there yet.
True. I personally think, serial dater, he started texting me good morning like every day, and I was like, bro, I just met you like a month ago. Who are you? It was really weird. So I personally think a good, like, a time that makes sense to start texting every day and, like, would probably be after you put a label on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
like, I think saying. Before that, it's like, and again, some people need it, like serial dater, wow. He really needed it, and so that's why I would just respond, and I was like, okay, like, not a big deal. But then, like, he would get upset when I don't respond, and I'm like, wait, we're not dating.
Yeah.
Like, you can't demand that kind of time from me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like, maybe deal with it better than I did and have a talk to her.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be hella uncomfortable.
It'll be okay. Like you said, it's better to have that conversation now. Yeah. Because, people do have different needs, and if that is not something you can deal with, it's good to get it all out there.
Thanks, Sania. I'll try it out.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of gave yourself advice, but...
Oh, I've been talking to some friends about it, but I knew, like, after I asked you, I would, like, have full confirmation.
Damn, I like that. Okay. We are going to get into the topic for today's episode now. So we're talking about the dating age range. So, like, how much older or younger than your date can you date? And I think Ethan and I both have experience with this. But I'd like to start by talking about a friend who is kind of in, like, a little bit of, like, a predicament right now. I mean, I say right now, but I think, like, it's not that deep for her.
Okay.
So she was recently away on this little trip, and she, like, met this guy, and she, like, he had all of the personality traits, all of, like, the physical appearance, like, just, he was just checking off all the boxes. And I saw it happen to her live. Like, she was just, like, head over heels, kind of. And the thing was, he was also reciprocating. And at our age, like, it's very hard to tell how old Ethan and I are.
Is that true?
I think it is, because, okay, so we were at this, like, all-inclusive, like, resort, and so there was a lot of families there. And it's 18, like, or sorry, there's kids there too, right? Because it's families. So, like, you really don't know anybody's age. So a lot of people, like, if you're in a place where it's, kids are allowed, people would guess that you're younger. Obviously in an office setting, because you assume people are older by the time they're working, you assume older ages. So I think there was this confusion about people's ages, and little boys have been starting to grow beards nowadays. So my friend was just really confused about his age. And anyways, they just hit it off, and everything was going really well. And she found out that he's 5 years younger than her. Like, he's still in school. He's in, like, second year university. And, like, she's clearly way older than him. And she kind of felt like, like, I don't want to say, like, a cradle robber, but, like, it just felt like that because he's just so much younger than her. Okay.
Well, at least right off the bat, she's not going to catch a case, right? If he's second year in university, he's legal. And I'm guessing she is around our age.
No, yeah, she is around our age.
Yeah.
Like, plus minus a year.
Okay. And based on their interactions, is it more casual, or do you think that they've been able to have, like, some genuine connection and conversations?
So I think because they met on vacation, so they knew it was going to be short-lived, whatever it was. But, they don't live too far from each other, like, their hometowns. So, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is there is potential. But it's, like, would it be awkward? Like, because we were having these conversations, my friend and I. Like, would it be awkward if she, like, comes home to her family and she's like, oh, like, here's my boyfriend. He's still in school, and I'm, like, a grown-ass woman, but here he is. Or if she were to go to his family, because he has an older sister who's younger than my friend. And so it's like, imagine her going to his family's house. And like, you know, he also has like those good family values, et cetera, et cetera. So like the whole situation was just kind of mind boggling.
Yeah. So she knows how old he is. Does he know how old she is?
Something about these young boys like old girls too.
Yeah. Come on, young boys.
You're one to speak.
We'll save that for later.
So do you think it's awkward? What do you think? Like, is it weird? Is it okay? Because it's minus, like, let's say minus 5 years. Maybe 6.
I will say it takes a long time for guys to mature. And that's not for every single guy out there. And so I think in general, the reason why girls prefer to date older guys is because those guys are a little more mature. They have more experience. They know how to take care of you and take care of themselves. And that's super attractive. When girls start to date people who are younger than them, if they don't know how to take care of themselves, if they're not financially stable, emotionally stable, then it can lead to a lot of problems. And I think a lot of girls have experienced that. And so I don't think it's weird at all, especially because they're both adults now. And if one of them were in high school, then I think it's, even if they were legal, I think that's totally pushing a boundary. But in college, I think that's not a big deal.
It's like a gray area.
I think there's like 2 things that your friend needs to, if she's actually interested, she needs to make sure about. And so the first one is figuring out how mature he is. And that's not so easy to do. I think you have to kind of,
especially in the beginning, like he knows she's older, so like he's like like he's putting on his big boy voice and he's like, no, I'm gonna take care of this, like I'll take care of this, like da-da, and he's like being that like maybe he's playing the part of being a mature guy, but that's what he's doing.
I think to determine if someone is mature, you can't base your decision based on his actions. You need to ask him and kind of observe between the lines what his interactions with his family is like, what his interactions with his friends are like, what gets him upset, how does he approach conflict. And so you can kind of sprinkle in hidden questions in your conversation, like, oh, when's the last time you had a fight with your friend? And then what
how
happened?
did you deal with it?
Yeah, exactly. And so, but when you're asking these, you need to be like figuring out every time, like, is this guy actually mature?
Actually, that's really smart, because I never thought, like, maturity, I thought you were going to say ask him questions like, what is he looking for in a relationship? You know, when does he want to settle down? Because like those I thought would be the problems for younger kids.
Guys will lie out of their mind if you ask them those questions.
True. But you're right. The thing that actually shows maturity is like, how are you dealing, like, how are you solving problems? How are you communicating, you know, when you have things that you need to communicate that you're upset about. So I think that stuff is way more important. It's like good advice.
Yeah. And I think there was something else I was going to say. Shoot.
We'll give you a second.
I'm like really.
But Ethan, I also have another friend, because my friends are just at that weird age now where plus and minus are both applicable. And she's was involved, is involved, I don't know, past, present, with somebody who's 20 years older than her.
Wow.
So the man is like close in age to my friend's mom. You know, way closer in age to the mom than to my friend.
Yeah.
And you said young girls should go for older guys. What do you think about this situation?
Okay, so maybe at this point we'll talk about the dating age rule.
Okay.
And so this is not official or anything, but in general, someone out there made up this rule to figure out what is the lower bound and upper bound of ages that is appropriate to date. And so the rule in general is you take your age, and to find the lower bound, you divide by 2, and then you add 7.
Okay, I'm going to try to do this mental math right now.
Okay. And Wait, so are you going to tell us for your friend?
Yes.
Like what that lower bound is?
Yes.
Okay. As you're doing the mental math, I'll say the upper bound rule.
Okay.
Okay. So the upper bound, well, if you just tell
20.
us. Okay, 20 is the lower bound. Okay. And then the upper bound. So to calculate that, you take your age, you minus 7,
Okay.
and then you multiply by 2.
Oh man.
It's too early in the morning for this.
38.
38. Okay, so so this guy is not meeting the upper bound. Your friend is not 18.
My friend is not 18.
What brought them together?
They just met at at an outing. Yeah.
And then what do you think made them hit it off?
I think their personalities really just get along well. And because my friend, I feel like with everybody, you have a more serious side and then you have like a more childish, playful side, and it kind of like makes her play up her more mature side, but in like a good way. And like I see her as like more like a wifey when she's with him, versus when she's interacting with like the younger boy, she's like, you know, she's like, oh, like life is fun, like we can do, yeah, like let's go swimming at 3 a.m, like, you know, she's more carefree, which is also fun because you want to feel carefree. So yeah, and I do see them like pretty cute together, but it's like there's absolutely no way on earth she's going to be able to bring this man home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also like it makes me question, like, he's so old, like there's a reason he must be single. Like how can you be such a catch, like, so, you know, if you have this great personality, all this stuff, like how are you still single at your age? Like why don't the girls your own age want you?
I think it's a little more complicated than that. I used to think the same thing as you, and then I started to have friends who are a little older and are still single.
Yeah.
And in general, yes, that is the rule, and that's the case. But, and that really bothers me. But there's like many things that can be going on. Maybe, especially for guys, a lot of guys are late bloomers.
Okay.
And so they're developing their personalities late. It takes them a while to kind of figure out what is their path in life. And so maybe it takes them a little longer to get their career going. And then when you first start off dating, if you don't have a lot of experience, you're figuring out a lot of things on the go. You're figuring out what kind of person you're looking for. You're figuring out a lot about yourself and what your values are. And as a guy, when guys are younger, they just kind of mess around a little more. And so even for me, feeling so unsure about Houston after she made that kind of request is kind of a sign of immaturity on my part, a little bit, because I'm a little scared of the commitment, and I think a lot of guys are like that. And so sometimes it takes so much time that when they're ready to do that, when they're ready to commit, when they're ready to take care of someone and be emotionally available, boom, they're like 30s, 40s.
Oh, and all the girls their own age are probably scooped up already.
You would think so, but then who knows? And I think a lot of the time, sometimes people rush into marriages, they get a divorce, then boom, they're single when they're a little older.
Okay.
And then sometimes people are not ready to date until they're a little
So you don't
older.
think they're damaged goods just because they're single at an older age? I think you have experience also talking to somebody older. I feel like we're just talking about older guys, but also for older girls. And you don't think there's something wrong with them?
I don't think they're damaged goods necessarily. They might be still healing from stuff.
Okay.
And so I think that if you find yourself in that situation, you're going to have to figure out if they've actually healed from whatever they went through, and if they're actually ready for a relationship and in a healthy place in life.
Okay.
And so the questions that I brought up before still apply. Like figuring out how mature they are.
Right.
So seeing what they think about therapy, seeing what they think about, or what kind of friends they have around them, and then also like have they kept in touch with old friends, or are all the people around them like new? I think that tells a lot about a person. And then what kind of values do they have, and don't just ask them what kind of values they have. They will just tell you what
you want to hear.
What they think you want to hear.
Okay.
But you want to see how they're treating wait staff, how like if like someone drops something on the street, are they helping that person
So
pick
do
it
you
up?
think, I guess, are we more critical of people that are, pushing the boundaries on this, age limit compared to somebody who we're dating who's our own age? Or are we kind of still, because like seeing how they treat wait staff, like that's something I would look for in somebody my own age as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like, is there, I guess, what's like the difference that we should be looking out for when we're talking to these much younger, much older people?
Yeah, so I think once you get to know them well enough and you feel comfortable asking the question, I would ask, why are you single right now? And I think that's totally fair.
Right.
And they will tell you whatever's happened. And I think the main differentiator between dating someone your age and dating someone who's not, and I guess specifically if that other person is older, is they will tell you why they're single. Most of the time it will be because they went through something.
Okay.
And you want to just figure out if they've healed from that.
Okay. What about somebody younger? What would be the difference between your own age versus somebody younger? Because I do think you're more critical of somebody younger.
Yeah, so, and I think this is what I forgot to bring up earlier, but if the person is younger, you want to figure out their values and you want to figure out as soon as possible if they're looking for the same thing as you.
Okay.
Because
but didn't we say they're going to lie and say they want to be like married and they want to be settled down and they'll take care of you? Like, I've had 19-year-olds tell me that, like while I was like literally 24, 25.
Mm-hmm.
So
and so that's when it's time to like throw the Lulu glasses out of the way and just
put them on.
Yeah, you can put them on, and you need to read between the lines.
Okay.
And so even for that girl who breadcrumbed me, that like we brought up in episode 3, but she was just a tiny bit younger than I was. And I remember when I asked her what exactly she was looking for, she was like, I'm looking for something serious, something that leads to marriage, but I know I have a lot of time right now and I'm not in a rush. And so that should have told me right off the bat that she was willing to just keep passing on guys right now.
Okay.
She wasn't going to just stick things through. And like as soon as like maybe she caught an ick, that's her
First
sign out.
to get out. Okay.
And so young people in general have that mentality. I have a lot of time. I don't need to rush things. I've been in a few relationships maybe, and I know kind of what I'm looking for, so I'm just gonna wait.
They don't have that patience, I think, to like sit there and, like you said, I like how you put it, like stick it through. Because I think a lot of what makes a healthy relationship and a relationship survive is like deciding, like, okay, like this is the person I choose, like let's make it work. Like let's figure it out, let's stick it through with this person. Instead of being like, like you said, the first sign of an ick and like trashing someone.
Yeah. And I will say, when you're younger, in general, you don't want to necessarily settle down yet. You want to have fun. You want to explore. And so if you're older and you want to date someone who's younger than you, you need to make sure that they actually want what you want and they're on the same page as you. They will say sweet nothings and like things that sound really nice, but ask them about their relationship history. Ask them about like if they're really motivated and you can tell that they stick by their words, then you know there's a higher chance that they're gonna mean what they say when they say that they want something serious. If you can tell by anything that they do, maybe they party a lot, maybe they're like every single weekend they're going out with their friends, like, and then they're telling you that they want to settle down and get married, there is like
a discrepancy. A
little bit. So you want to make sure the whole stories, the math is math.
All right, that's some really good advice. Because I think it is way more common nowadays to like date people that are not just in your age range, or like for girls to date younger guys, for guys to date older women, which I know, let's say like 50 years ago wasn't so common. So I think this is all like good, I don't know, things to know.
Yeah. I guess one question I have for you, and this is a little more generalized, but I think for girls prefer dating guys who are older. Not I think, I know. And then for guys usually prefer dating girls who are younger.
Right, that's a typical standard.
Yeah, and the reasoning behind that is, like, for the girl, they want someone who can take care of them, protect them. And usually an older guy, they've matured enough, they're in that stage of life where they can do that. But then on the guy side, they prefer a younger girl because they're
more agreeable.
Yeah, and they're more lively.
Yeah.
Maybe like if like I've had friends say this.
No, this is true. My dad has said this stuff. This is like he always tells me, he's like, yeah, girls should be with, typically the standard is girls are with older guys because like you said, guys take longer to mature. So by the time the guy is ready, by the time the girl is ready, the guy's already way older. Guys her age are not going to be at that level of maturity usually. And then same with guys wanting younger girls because they're more fun, they're lively, they want to do more stuff, like they're less serious. A girl keeps a guy fun and young.
Yeah, and then I think the other piece of the puzzle is that if they want to get married and have kids, then a younger girl has more time to have kids.
Very true.
And then even if you want to delay having kids, that's okay too because she's younger.
Because you have time.
Yeah, and you have time.
Wow, that was I was not expecting you to say that today, Ethan.
Oh, why not?
You just called me old, in so many ways. Right?
No, I didn't call you old. But a lot of the girls that I talk to, right?
It is very true. You're right.
So I think my question is, actually, I need to save that question, push it to the side, but I kind of want to challenge those ideas. So I have friends who are guys who I really disagree with because they always had this grand plan. They were like, okay, at 27 I'm gonna get married, and then we're gonna have 2 years to enjoy before we start having kids, and then we're gonna.
Who are these guys? I'm I'm open to talking to someone who's 27 and wants to be married.
Oh, they're already engaged. Oh, one is married too. So they've actually were true to their word and acted on these plans.
Okay.
But I disagree with them because they think they have control over everything. They're like, okay, we're gonna start having kids when we're 30, and then we have 7 years to just have kids. And I'm like, okay, what if there's infertility issues? What if one of you gets sick? To plan your life like that, to me, just makes no sense. Not that it makes no sense. It's nice to have a plan, and then maybe it doesn't work out, but you can kind of adjust. But I think to be so certain that life is going to work out a certain way. Oh, this is starting to become a life podcast. I think my point is I want to challenge the social norm. I think girls should be able to date guys who are younger, and guys should be able to date girls who are older. And so just for me recently, Houston is older than I am. The age difference is 4 years, 4.5. And then Roaster, who I was talking to at the same time at the beginning, she's same age as Houston. And so
Ethan, do you have a type?
I will say, in general, I don't think outright I have a type, but I really do like talking to older women because they're just a little more serious. They're not playing the game anymore.
Right.
And it's easier to know if they're actually enjoying our interactions or they're not. When I've gone on dates with girls who are younger, sometimes it's a little hard to tell.
That's
and
fair.
They're just it seems nice, but then they're not as serious.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so I guess my argument is that it shouldn't matter what age you are. It shouldn't matter
Are we gonna say throw out the dating age rule?
No. I think that is a good guideline to go with. And I will say this dating age rule that we just mentioned, it works best in your like 20s and 30s.
Yes.
If you're young, if you're in high school or college watching this, or if you're a lot older, I think this rule gets broken a little bit. And so be mindful of that.
Yeah, I think your 20s are that gray area age where you can go plus minus.
But I do think if you have been unsure about it, I don't think it should be something that has to be a deal breaker.
Okay.
One thing I want to make clear though is that one of the reasons why I started this podcast, or we started this podcast, is I'm at church every Sunday. Not every Sunday, but I'm at church most Sundays. And so before this podcast was ever an idea, I would hear lots of stories and see it of older guys approaching younger girls.
Okay.
And we're talking 10, 15-year age difference. So maybe not as extreme as 20 years, but it's still, that I think is not okay.
Okay.
If you are an older guy, this situation in particular, if you are an older guy and you are attracted to a younger girl and the age difference is more than 5, you need to be super careful. I don't recommend making a move like you would to someone your age.
Okay.
In situations like that, I think you have to get to know them very slowly. Do not just try to like ask them out or hang out with them one-on-one very quickly. That's very weird, and I think that's crossing boundaries. I think if you're a guy and a girl is much younger than you, there's a certain power dynamic, and you want to make sure that if a relationship happens, you don't start off with a huge power imbalance.
True.
Just because you're so much older,
I totally agree. Like seeing this firsthand with my friend, like I think you definitely have to, at least when you guys are interacting, first make sure that you guys are on like a level playing field, that she doesn't feel that there's like, because that's the main thing. She shouldn't feel like she's being overpowered by you or anything that you ask or want or anything like that. And once it feels a little bit balanced, I think then that's like a good, healthy space to be in before you move forward with things.
Yeah. And I think the way to do that is, like we've brought this up in the past, hang out with them in a group setting, but the group should not be small. It should not be a group of 4. Like this should be a group of more than 5.
So it doesn't feel like a double date.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's okay if you have some one-on-one conversation when this group is hanging out. It should not be the whole time. Just, you can find pockets here and there. And I think the key thing in all of this is that if she gives any signal that she's not interested or she's not super excited about the conversation, you need to back off.
Yeah. I think if you are way older, like Ethan's saying, and a younger girl's approaching you, or I think the same can be said for like, because when you're older, even as an older girl talking to a younger guy, I think there's always that power dynamic. You're older, you've seen more of the world, you're more mature, you could be more controlling of the situation and things like that. I think it's always a good idea to let the younger person lead. And sometimes the younger person can be delulu and they'll be like, no, like I just want you. You're 20 years older and I want you. But that's because you're the responsible one in that relationship. And I think because you're older, you have to take on more responsibility, and you have to make sure that the other person feels safe and is, has their rose-colored glasses off and is, seeing the situation for what it is. Like maybe if that young person is pursuing you and they're not having a conversation about what are we, what is this, maybe that's your job to bring it up. Just so that, there's no weird expectations, there's no, like you are the responsible one and you should act like it.
Yeah.
But other than that, enjoy your dating in all the different age ranges.
Yeah. I think that's key. And I love what you said, Sania. I think the younger person in that situation has to lead. If that person is not leading, they're not showing interest, they're not asking you questions and starting conversations
and asking
with
you to hang out, like
it's a done deal. Yeah. Back off. If
it can get creepy really easily.
If I see that happening at church I will fight you. That is like so frustrating for me to watch because these girls are my age and they're being hit on by older guys. Come on now.
Yeah, no, definitely wait for the girl to lead. And even if, you know, a Delulu young person approaches you and you happen to really like them genuinely, you should have those serious talks and you should, you know, take care of business and have those difficult conversations.
Yeah. Give us guys a chance too.
All right. I was telling Ethan just this morning, actually, that girls right now are at this weird age, at our age, that we can date, like, the sons or the fathers.
You are not telling me this.
That's, like, the common thing that people, like, have been saying nowadays. Like, in my friend groups, everyone's like, oh, yeah, the dad or the son. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you're right. Like, the old people out there, old men, give the young guys a chance.
Yeah. Okay. So, I feel closure on this topic. We're gonna jump into our end segment for today, and we're calling it "There 10 But." And so, I think how I'm thinking about doing this is we'll say the but right now, and then we'll like have a couple seconds to think, and then we'll hold up a number.
Okay.
At the same time.
Out of 10, right?
Out of 10.
All right.
Okay. So, the first one, and for you, you're gonna give the girl's perspective. So like it's the guy.
Right. Yes. You'll give the girl.
Okay.
Right,
and so there's a good chance we might not agree.
All right.
Okay. So they're 10, but they live with their parents.
Okay. Ready?
Okay. Okay. I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
A 10? That's crazy. Put on these glasses.
I will wear them. No, I don't think this is like a rose-colored glasses thing. Listen, Ethan, because I really like family values, I think it's so attractive to me that, wow, you're living at home. It's showing me, wait, give me a chance, that you're financially responsible. Because why do you need to be living else? Like, sorry, this also, there's like a scenario. Like, let's say you're working in the same city that your parents lived in, that you grew up in. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for you to move out like a half an hour away from them just to live alone. You know, you're taking care of your parents because parents want to have you around. While you were a kid, all they did was take care of you. Like, you should at least be able, at this age, you can be your parents' friends. You know, you're not a burden, so like at least help them out. Maybe you can help with rent. If you help your parents with rent or like with mortgage payments or any of that stuff, like with bills, like wow, like you're such a super 10. So financially, it shows me that you're really responsible. It shows me that you don't care what people think and what social media is saying, that you need to have that apartment in the city by yourself. Like, no, you don't need to. Mm-hmm. And then I think it's so cute that you are with your family and you're that close. I think definitely you need to have lived alone for a little bit. Okay. Just so you can learn those things. Mm-hmm. But if you're currently living with your parents, like, I don't see absolutely anything wrong with it.
Okay. Guys, I'm going to shoot myself. Okay. You bring up some good points, Sania. I don't deny that, but this is where I have to like, I don't know, set you a little straight maybe.
Put these on.
Okay, so I do agree with you, and I'm really glad that you brought this up, but they've had to live away from their parents for a while. And I never understood how important this was until I moved away from home. But the things that you learn and the ways that you grow is huge. It's tremendous. Mm-hmm. You learn to take care of yourself. You're not relying on anyone anymore. And
teaches you responsibility.
Yeah. And so if you go back to living with your parents after that, I don't think that's such a big deal.
Yeah. Sorry, I mean, you bring those good values with you. You know, you're doing your own laundry and stuff when you're living with your parents. It's not like you're in high school still and mom's doing laundry and, like, she's serving the food and dad's paying all the bills. Like, no, I don't mean that.
Yeah. But I will say, when you live with your parents, the lines become a lot more blurry than you make it out to be. Mm-hmm. And so, like, as you mentioned, your parents parents in general, they spend years taking care of you. And that's how most people are raised, not everyone. Mm-hmm. If you live with them as an adult, in many ways they're still trying to take care of you. You kind of put yourself back in that environment where it's like very nurturing. And so maybe they will make your bed and clean your sheets.
That is totally, and I've seen it with, even when I go home, my mom does it sometimes, but I also see it as like an opportunity to, I don't want to say give back, because I don't think you could ever give back to your parents enough. Like I don't think there's a limit, but I think it's like a opportunity to ease their burden a little bit. And like, also just like, I think it's very cute when people are close to their parents. And I think like I said, not like, so sorry, I will say there's still a 10 with the asterisk that it's not like you're still in high school. You're not 27 and like your parents are doing all your chores for you. You have your responsibilities, you're being a contributing member to the family, and you're lessening everyone else's burden, and like you're being like the man of the house. That's what I mean by living at home. That's why I gave it like such a strong 10.
I don't think you can be the man of the house or like an independent person while you're living with your parents. You don't get full control over what's in your fridge. You don't get control over...
Well, yeah, you do. You can go grab the groceries. Sorry, I might also be talking with like very like foreign values, because like in India, for example, like that is the culture. Like you grow up, you live at home, like with your parents, because like we don't... it's not common in India to have your parents live in like a home. They just stay with like the son and like the son's family. So the families just keep continuing like that under the same roof. So like, for example, when my dad was old, like he would start getting the groceries. He would start taking care of like the house repairs and bills and da-da-da. And I think it made him, in my eyes, like more of a man, as opposed to like, living somewhere like 2 hours away in the same city, paying rent for no reason. Like, I don't know. I think, for example, what Ethan's doing is very different right now. Your family's in New York, but you're living here in California. You have to. It's for work. I think that's totally commendable, and you're not going to be any less than a 10 for it, because it's for work. So, like, you have your priorities straight.
Yeah.
So
I guess I'm also thinking about maybe this is more relevant to growing up in an Asian family, but I feel like if I were under my parents' roof, a lot of like old rules would kind of come back.
True.
Or like expectations.
100%.
So expectations that I spend a good amount of time with them.
100%.
I would not be able to bleach my hair or pierce my ears if I was living with my parents.
I agree with that.
I think in some ways
it is restrictive. It is harder to live with your parents, but I think that's why I gave it a 10, because I was like, it's so, to me, it shows a lot of I don't know, like respect for them, or like maturity, that like you're able to control your desires and curb what you want for them. Which maybe it's not such a good thing, because now I'm saying it out loud and I'm like, you should have your time to grow and like become who you are and make your own rules. Like, for example, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things that I do right now if I was living with my parents. I would like, like have like strict curfews when I'm back home, even as like a 26-year-old, or like a certain number of times during the week that I can go out, because I should be at home for dinner. So I do see that part of it as well. But I think that's why I said, if you've had that stint of living alone and you're able to develop yourself and experience those things, and you just happen to be living with your parents, I think it's okay. I think the biggest asterisk in my 10 is if you're working in the same city as your parents.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, because I don't want to date a clown. Like, don't be living 2 hours away from them. And you know.
So I gave him a 7, because 7 to me is pretty average, or maybe a little more than average, but in that
I'd like to revise
range.
To also a 7.
Okay. And I think it's because outright there's nothing wrong with it. And I think especially if whoever's doing it has a healthy relationship with their parents and they're still being able to be independent, I don't think it's as big of an issue. But if that is not the case, if you become reliant on your parents, or your parents are reliant on you, then I think then it becomes an issue. And so that's why I'm like, okay, it can go one way, it can go another. I do think the last thing I want to bring up, not to like drag this out, but a lot of times when you're in a relationship, I guess my values is that when I get married one day, I'm going to leave my parents.
True. Yeah.
they're still a part of my life. I want to take care of them, but they're not like the family unit is the family I'm building with my wife.
True.
And so I think it can get really unhealthy if my parents like think that they're my priority and
Right.
they're my
Main focus.
Exactly.
Your main responsibility. Yeah.
And so I do think to develop that and also build a strong foundation with your partner is to spend individual time with them.
Okay,
and you're not really going to get as many opportunities if you're living with your parents.
That's totally true. I can't disagree. And so I was saying this thing about what goes on in India, it causes a lot of marital issues. Like maybe in the dating stage it doesn't, but when you're married and like, you know, it does cause problems between partners. So that is, very true. Okay. That one was pretty loaded.
Yeah. I didn't know we're so passionate about that.
Ethan helped me revise my understanding. We're going to do a little bit more of a fluffy one.
Okay, yeah.
There are 10, but they have bad teeth. So what are they now?
Okay.
3, 2, 1. I was going to go 5, too.
Okay.
It's like on the verge.
Why do you give them a 6?
They're just feeling bad. Because there's such a range. You could have crooked teeth, yellow teeth, smelly teeth. Like, there's
bad
such a
oral
range.
hygiene.
Yeah, I think this one kind of just speaks for itself. It affects your appearance, sure, but it also shows, I mean, crooked teeth you don't really have much control over, but oral hygiene, like, it just shows that, you know, if you can't take care of your mouth, like, what do you, like, are you even well groomed? Like, are you taking care of the rest of you? Yeah. And I personally, like, I really like teeth. So that's like a, yeah.
I think someone's smile is so important, especially when you first meet them, because it tells you a lot about them and how friendly they are, how approachable.
Yeah.
I will say I give them a 5 because I think in general, if they had bad teeth, bad oral hygiene, it's actually lower for me.
Yeah.
But I bumped them up to a 5 because these things can be fixed.
True.
So, like, even if you lost all your teeth, you can get fake teeth.
Veneers,
and it's not it's not a big deal.
Okay.
If you have bad breath, you can fix that. And so if you relate to this and you're listening to that, like, there's hope.
Yeah.
And you can just do something about it. And then if you do something about it, you're way higher than a 5.
Yeah. And we're not saying you need to be perfect and you need to go get braces, but definitely oral hygiene, like just grooming in general is so important.
Yeah, definitely. And if it doesn't matter what age you are, but you should be seeing your dentist, you should be flossing. And if you're going on a date and you're going to kiss someone, make sure like you have some mints and some gum with you.
Yeah.
And you're not picking a restaurant that has like really like
garlic and onions.
Exactly. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right, and the very last one is they're a 10, but they don't have credit cards.
And are we gonna include like they don't know how to use credit cards well in that?
I mean, I'm assuming if they don't have a credit card, they don't know how to use it.
But we both know people who have credit cards and they're like maxing them out.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Or if they don't have credit cards, or if they're financially not that responsible with their credit cards. What are they? And I think we're gonna have a very different number for this. Just gender roles and such. I don't know.
Yo, chill. Don't assume, Sania.
All right. So. Okay. 3, 2, 1, 0. 5.
7.5. Did you think I was gonna be higher or lower than you?
I knew you were gonna be higher.
Whoa.
I think there's less responsibility as a girl, financing stuff. I'm like, meh. When Ethan was talking about girls that max out their credit cards, he was talking about me. It was a not so indirect.
I didn't mean to call you out like that. I didn't know you're gonna call yourself out.
It's okay, I don't mind.
Sania has been very financially invested in this podcast, so if you are watching this and you appreciate that, make sure to thank Sania. Let her know in the comments that you appreciate it.
I've been doing it irresponsibly, though. Ethan has been doing it in a very responsible, mature way.
Well, I don't know. Not if I lose my job. But that is not that's there, not here.
Yeah. Okay, so why'd you say 7.5?
You brought this up already, but it's because to be financially literate, a lot of times you don't learn this in school.
Right.
And I guess this is a life podcast now, but you can always learn it. And
Okay.
it's not as hard as a lot of people think. You can watch YouTube videos. There's a lot of people who give advice online. And so if you feel like you're not sure how to handle money well, you don't know how credit cards work, you don't know how Roth IRAs work, saving for retirement, then you should ask your friends, ask your coworkers, people that you trust. But if you are an attractive person, you have a great personality, you have good values, then that's something you can just learn.
It just
along
adds
the
to
way.
making you more well-rounded.
Yeah, I will say they're not higher than 7.5 for me because it could be a sign that they are very materialistic. And I think for me, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm materialistic, but if it gets to a point where you're just making bad money decisions,
Right.
even if you knew how to use credit cards well, it might not translate to.
And it's just bad for like if you're dating to find a life partner, like you don't want somebody who's spending your money like that one day, you know?
Well, hopefully, for me, it's our money. right?
Family's
So,
money, yes.
Yeah. The kids' money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I gave it did I do 5 or 6?
A 5.
Because I know nothing about money.
That's not true. That's not true.
I know very little. I kind of just like whatever I do. My dad's like, "Oh, invest in this," and I don't. Maybe I should be more financially literate because Ethan's right. It makes you a well-rounded person. But I gave it a 5 for like a guy because I'm not expecting, hoping that as a man you know about money and you can be the one to teach me, and I will trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why if you come to me with no knowledge about money and like I have to deal with the family finances, there's just no way. That's like maybe it should be lower. Maybe it should be like a 3 because there's just no way.
You know, usually it's the opposite way around. Usually, like, the wife or...
Doesn't the wife typically do like the day-to-day, but then the man's like, oh, we're going to invest in this, we're doing this, da-da-da-da-da.
Yes, that is true. But usually the guy is more financially irresponsible because they're like thinking about what sports car they're going to buy or they want to
Let me tell you, there's some cute
stuff.
workout sets. Like, they're not to the level of sports cars, but purses, bags, jewelry, like...
Yeah. Okay, maybe it goes both ways. It kind of depends.
Yeah.
It could also be the guy too, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't share my tea at the beginning. I have a big bomb to drop on Ethan.
Okay.
Okay, here's the really big bomb, Ethan.
I'm ready. My lips are sealed.
Okay, good. That's what I was gonna say. Can't repeat. You're gonna bleep this out. And maybe we'll talk about this in next week's episode, just at the beginning, but I just want to drop it here just so it's out there.
Okay.
I have been
Oh.
you don't even look that shocked.
No, I'm like totally shocked. I'm like ready to pick up the table shocked. Oh, what the hell? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Alright, guys.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What the? I can't even understand like what's going on, Sania.
So catch us next week and we're gonna
No. Don't do this to me.
and we're gonna talk more about this. We're gonna give Ethan a week to process and we will talk about this next week.